Are we on? Are
We
we
are,
hot?
yeah, we're always on. When you see that live button, we are live. I am live from Minneapolis, so I am very, very excited. But before we get started in my excitement, we just want to acknowledge that there's a lot going on in the world right now. And with that being said, we are week 23 of What Did Prince Do This Week? And it's all about celebration, Arthur. Welcome.
Celebration weekend.
Yes,
I actually
celebration
like that
weekend.
design. I actually like what they did with that.
I do too, because I also got on the sweatshirt.
Oh, that's
And
nice.
hold on, let me do the sweatshirt. Nice purple.
That's nice.
I love this. Yes. And then they also have a black. Let me get it real quick.
I'm live from my house in Phoenix. It's like nothing's going on. My usual background.
And then they have this black one.
Yeah,
And
that's
then
nice.
then on the back it has, I think I'm trying to see what you can see. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I really love the design this year. I think it's really fantastic. But before we get into celebration, I want to say first in the chat is Boombox Guru. We had a rocky week, but we are in Minneapolis now, so we are very excited. And we have Andre Staley. What up, though? Yes, this is your week because it's all about Detroit in 1986. So I'm so happy that you are here, Andre. And then we got Realign, the DJ, representing Jesse. Grateful for another groovy day. Shaka. Well, it's not Shakadelica, but my Shakadelica, you know, the comment that Prince made that Prince was going to have Shakadelica be relegated to him. And whenever I think of Shakadelica, who do you think I think about? Prince. And so.
Well, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. So yeah.
And then we have April Watson from Tampa. And then we also have Cassandra Bradley, who I saw last night at the Armory, who was looking so incredible at the Armory, who is here in Minneapolis. So many people in Minneapolis. This is actually really the place to be. And then we have Lisa Williams from H-Town. Yes, I haven't even looked on social media, so I haven't really seen any pics and videos in celebration, with the exception of a Bilal video that I will share later. And then we got Rockabosh. Good morning to What Did Prince Do This Week? Like Prince's music, D'Angelo forever staying. Hashtag timeless. Oh my God. Hearts, Rockabosh. You are
That's
the
a
best.
great segue.
Yes.
Rock has got a great segue.
Yes, because we're going to talk about that too. And then we got Happy Saturday from Sister Charles, also from H-Town. And let's see, we got Rockabosh saying, wish it could be a celebration this year. Happy for those celebrating in downtown Minneapolis with a sing-along, street art, and shows at Bunkers and First Avenue. I don't have my Love Sexy button for Love Sexy 71. And we got D68A in the house. Thank you so much for the shows, as well as the Electrifying Mojo interview, which are all on D68A's channel. And we got Chip and Sparrow, who is here from Japan. You haven't been with us live for a while, so I want to just say thank you so much for tuning in all the way from Japan. We got Sakia, and we got, oh, yes, well, that was like the Prince of Jade said. I wanted to keep it, didn't want it to be a spoiler, but you didn't say which song, so we'll keep that up. So the spoiler, we talked about this last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago, that there is a Prince song in God Is, and there's also a Prince song in Nemesis, the series. And we got Gabrielle in Australia from the future to my beautiful people. And Sunday, 2 a.m. That's dedication, Arthur. 2
Yes, it is.
a.m. in Australia. We are so grateful to you, Gabrielle, for being with us every week at 2 a.m. So that is dedication. And we got EA 8133 Ola from San Francisco. We got Raywin in the house. I love this. Happy heavenly birthday weekend. Prince Rogers Nelson, as we all know. Tomorrow is June 7th, and that means it is Prince Day, Prince's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we know he didn't celebrate his birthday, but I do. And what about you, Arthur? Do you celebrate Prince's birthday?
Oh, I do. And he definitely celebrated in 1986. It was a great show that happened. And
Yes.
that I'm one day before being able to talk about it, but that's okay.
No, actually, you're not, because of we're going to talk about that. Okay.
All right.
Because we'll talk about that when we get to that point. And then we got Dorothy Edwards in the chat. Happy celebration weekend. Happy heavenly birthday to Prince. Yes, thank you for this. Prayers, comfort to Peebo, Bryson, and loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
Most definitely. I have my alliterative brother with me, Blade Brown. Always a pleasure to see you here.
Hey.
And all right, D68A says just added the full FULL birthday show audio. We got JD Washington in the house.
Hey.
Also at celebration. Why you on here, JD, when you should be celebrating? It was so great to see you. And we have Lisa Williams, who's happy that Arthur is here. I am happy that Arthur is here.
I am too.
Yes.
Def and Arthur in the morning.
Yes.
Were you a Community fan?
I am not, but I love that. Okay. Not a Community fan. And we got TP Libra in the house. We got our timekeeper, who is
timekeeper.
And we got Ron Kayla, and we got boys. I haven't noticed you live before, so welcome. If this is your first time live, if it's not, my apologies. But we're so happy to have you here. And we got El DeBar in the house. Thank you so much. Yes, we got to give love to Michael Dean. We miss him so. Ooh, Kim is on it. Happy birthday to the one and only Jimmy Jam, who Arthur last night, he and Terry Lewis came out on stage with Morris Day. It was so great to see them all on the same stage. They also had like a panel with Morris Day, and Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis came on the stage, and it was just so nice to see them together. And you know who else was on the stage last night with Morris Day?
Lisa Coleman?
Yes, but someone in our Prince fam, Law.
Really?
Yes, Law was on stage, and he was a Jeroman for Morris E. Day. So when he walked out on stage, I was like, oh my God, Law is in the house. He was sharp in his purple. So I was just so excited to see Law on the stage. And then we got Anna B in the house, and we got, I love this, drowning out of the world noise by tuning into the purple tunes. That's the reason why I do this show every week. And Prince has always been my anchor when the world is rocky, and it's really rocky right now. And we got AJJ1328, another happy birthday to Jimmy Jam. And yes, man, Ray 10, we are going to bless D68A for the full birthday show. Yes. D68A is willing to do the work. And we got, let's see, Lisa Metheny. Yes. So we're going to talk more about the celebration. We just want to get through. JD, you're not too old for this. Oh, and I got to say, Arthur, JD was clean when I saw him. JD, you were clean. You looked phenomenal. And I was like, I'm underdressed because I had on like a Prince t-shirt and everything. And I was, well, I got to step it up. And Cassandra Bradley last night was like flawless. I was like, oh my goodness. I feel like a hobo around everybody. Everybody's dressing up, looking really, really fantastic. And we got Jody from Little Rock, Arkansas. And I love saying Little Rock because that's a song off of Times Square on Times Square. So thank you for that. Yes, Law, the valet. That's what I'm talking about. And all right. So this is a shout out to Michael Dean, because Michael Dean's channel is the Prince Podcast. So someone is, Alan, is watching from Croatia, which is really incredible. So I'm sure Michael really loves that. And then we got Chris Bournet in the house. It's so great to have Ohio, OH in the house. All right. So let's get into it, like what people really want to talk about. We want to talk about the celebration that's going on right now. There's so many Prince fam here, Arthur. It is crazy. Oh, yes, Kim. I thank you for making me feel a little bit better. Because if they were here, they would also have on a t-shirt. I've been rocking the tees. And we got El Michelle in the house. And so unless you've been like in a closet somewhere, everyone should know that Prince celebration is going on right now in Minneapolis. That's where I am right now. That's the reason why we don't have a Love Sexy button. And that's the reason why we don't have any music, because I don't have my music thing. And then, but we're still celebrating through tomorrow, which is Prince's birthday. It's the 10th anniversary of his passing, but this has truly been a celebration. It hasn't been sad. And yes. So what's this? Sup, y'all? Why ain't talking Minneapolis celebrating? Not quite following you. If you could reword that so I can make sure that I understand the question, I really appreciate it, because I'm celebrating in Minneapolis right now. And yes, Ray Wynn again. Happy birthday to Jimmy Jam. So
you've been to any panels?
Yes, I've been to all the panels, actually.
Okay.
So basically, what I wanted to do really quickly was just kind of show some stuff. First, I wanted to show I'm general admission, so this is what my pass looks like this year. Mm-hmm. So the GA, they got purple passes, and they got purple, whatever this lanyard thing is. I love this with Prince on it, on this part. And then the VIPs, they have white, and then there's like other colors and things of that nature. And then we also got this nice image of Prince from Under the Cherry Moon in our packets that we got. And then we got like a shuttle pass. They're being on brand. And then these are like just a card. They have a Paisley card app for the first time this year. So you can download the app so you can kind of know where you're going. But I'm going to be honest, I prefer just the paper that they gave us. Actually, hold on one second. Let me go grab that real quick.
I'm looking at these chats, and yeah, Kim, I'm gonna need that t-shirt also.
So like Erica Badu, Arthur, I'm an analog girl in a digital world. Yep. So F that app. This is all I need.
Yeah, okay.
Basically the schedule here, which has been great. So the GA has a separate track than the VIP people. And so let's talk about the panel. So I already discussed that there was a panel yesterday with Morris Day, who was by himself. And then at the end, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis joined him. And then we took a break, and then Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis came back. And it was by far my favorite panel that I've seen is Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, because they know how to tell stories. Everybody knows that. Jimmy Jam knows how to tell a story. Also, Terry Lewis is very talkative, which I was kind of surprised by. So it was just really great to see them on the stage. It's always great, to hear from Morris. And then there was also a vault conversation with Prince Legacy LLC, which is Londell and Charles Spicer, as well as a representative from Primary Wave. And it was also a family member there, Johnny Nelson. So that happened yesterday. And then when it was Thursday, because I'm really bad with dates and stuff, we basically had an incredible conversation with Bootsy Collins. I think, in terms of the Prince content, like Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis was by far my favorite panel. But in terms of just panels in general, Bootsy's was my favorite because he was just so inspirational. And he also talked a lot about James Brown, of course. And I always like hearing about James Brown. But the one thing that I really appreciated about Bootsy is like when he came on stage, the moderator, who's a local broadcaster, wanted to talk to him about him, he was like, hold up, let's talk.
Mhm.
Let's remember why we were here. Let's talk about Prince. And I love that. Like, he didn't have to do that. And he just, really made sure he kept like trying to center Prince in the conversation. And he kept saying, this is not about me. This is about Prince and all of that. So no, the Prince celebration, Raywin, is run by, I say the Prince estate, but they actually, during the vault panel, the one thing they said is the estate no longer exists. I should stop saying that, but the reason why I say the Prince estate is because it's just so much shorter and easier to say than Prince Legacy LLC and Primary Wave. So instead of saying Prince Legacy LLC and Primary Wave, I usually just say the Prince estate. But Londell did point out that, the estate is over. So,
let me ask you though, the
Sure.
vault panel, so there was a lot of, and I know we're going to get to Timeless. There's a lot of talk about the possibility of not having a deluxe parade box. Was there any insight or revelations on that?
That's a good question, Arthur Turnbull. So, yes. So let me say this. How can I put it? So first of all, I actually took notes, but then I lost my notebook, which I'm not very happy about. But one of the things they said is, we know that you want a parade box set.
Mm-hmm.
So they are fully aware that we want a parade box set. And their answer was essentially, all these things take time, to like digitize. They want to do things so that they are timeless and not just rush things. I mean, they kept saying that, with the theme of, the new release, timeless. They just kept talking about how, and it does, I understand it takes time to put these things together. You have to find things in the vault. You have to bake tapes. They want to preserve tapes when they want, when they can. So it's like a slow process. They did say that they were going to, really continue to archive and digitize as much as possible, but they were saying that there's like, the Primary Wave representative said that there were over 1 million pieces of assets. They didn't say what kind of assets, whether that's video or audio. And then Londell said something like, almost 1 million. So to make a long story short, there's a lot of stuff in the vault. And they still are cataloging it, finding out actually what is in the vault. And then once they find out, and another thing that they made a point of saying is, when they find one thing in the vault, then they need to figure out if there are other things that are related to that one thing. And because you don't know where things are, because you know how Prince did, Prince would, I'm sure you've heard that sometimes there are things on certain tapes that are marked one thing, and then there'll be something else on there that's not even marked. So you literally have to look through or listen to the whole thing to kind of figure out like what's actually going on. So, yeah.
It's like, man, who's got that job? Who's got the job of, man, I just gotta, I gotta get through Prince music all day today. Like, that's my job.
I would love that job. I could be there forever, because that's what I geek out on. Like, as a researcher, you want to find like new things. You want like, what's on this tape, so you could just lock me in there and I'd be happy. Just send me in some crab legs every so often.
And a salad.
And a salad. Yeah. So, so I will absolutely love that. So
I saw a comment in the chat that the session that they were at, Londell essentially guaranteed both the parade box and a 3121. There we go.
JD. So, okay. All right. So let's get this, let's break this down. I'm just GA. JD is VIP.
All right.
Because JD is VIP, and originally with the vault conversation, it was supposed to be a combined GA VIP session, but
Hmm.
at the last minute they actually broke us out. So the GA had had one vault conversation, and the VIPs had a different vault session. So I'm happy that JD is actually putting this in the chat, because Londell did not say that in the GA
Hmm.
section.
Hmm.
He did not guarantee. He just said, "We know that you
Yeah.
want this parade." So I'm very happy to hear that there's a guaranteed release of a parade as Super Deluxe in 3121. Yes, I'm very sad about this. I put my phone number and my email in it, so I was hoping that if somebody found it, that they would reach out to me, but that isn't the case. And then someone had one thing that Morris Day announced is that there's going to be like a Color of Success, like remaster and all of that. And I noted that someone posted that in the chat as well. So yeah, here we go. D688 is saying Morris Day Color of Success Deluxe Edition being released June 26th, and includes rare unreleased mixes from Warner Brother Vaults. And the funny thing about Morris's panel was that, you know, he would answer questions, but he would always say it's in the book. So
Hmm.
if you haven't gotten on time, obviously you should continue to, you know, like seek it out and make sure that you actually read his book, because you should. And
Yeah.
so Anna B is saying, are you lodging closer to Minneapolis or Chanhassen? I stayed in Edina before knowing most events were in the. I'm downtown because I looked at the schedule. Normally I would stay in Chanhassen if all of Celebration was at Paisley Park, but this year, at least for the GAs, our only official Paisley Park day is on Sunday, tomorrow, Prince's birthday. That's when the GAs are going to get a special concert. I know that some of the VIPs, I think, already has seen it. JD, have you seen the special concert already? Thank you, Dr. Claw. Yes, I am
Hmm.
back, but I'm in Minneapolis. And let's see what we got. Let's see. I like. Is this true? There's going to be a Morris Oak Tree remix? Because sometimes I'm not. I'm a little slow. Okay, so JD is saying basically he basically said he wouldn't put it out there if it wasn't going to happen. Okay,
Hmm.
all right, I love that. And yeah, On Time was a great read for me as well. I love the structure of the book, how it's Morris MD, and I call him Ghost Prince. I love the Ghost Prince narrative in the On Time book. Did you like that, Arthur?
I did like it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
thought it was.
David Ritz is a really good co-author
Yeah, yeah.
between Ray and I thought he did Aretha Franklin's book. I might be wrong about that though.
Mm,
But Ray Charles, the Marvin Gaye book, of course.
yeah, and then did he also write Marvin Gaye's wife's book as well?
Yeah, I think so. Hold on, I got that one too.
It's
Talking about After the Dance.
yeah.
Um, yeah, but
And
go ahead. Let me look that up because that's
and then also,
actually.
did he do one with Rick James? Because he co-authored so many of them.
I know, right? Um,
Yeah,
Here we
I
go.
don't know.
Biography.
Oh,
Yep,
so
yep, with David Ritz
yeah,
for After the Dance, Jan Gay's book.
yeah, Jan Gaze. That was a very depressing book. Um,
Yeah, Marvin was a
yeah.
trip.
So I want to read this comment. So is it Sima does 16? I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. So one thing that Londale said in our session, and I felt like he was talking directly to me because I've said
Mm,
this. He was like, for all you people who talk about you want to hear stuff before you die,
hmm.
he was like, you're not going to hear everything. So yeah.
So, did you get an idea of an attitude of either dismissiveness or, exasperation between either McMillan or Spicer? in their comments. It's like you've met Charles Spicer.
Yes,
And
I
like,
mean,
you were in the room
well, I'm
and
not necessarily in the room. I've
well,
met
in the
Charles
room
on
of the panel, I'm saying.
Yes, and I have also met Londell, and Londell has been nothing but nice to me personally. So I have, so I can tell that they're frustrated. And one of the things that they really tried to communicate is that just hold on. We're only 3.5 years into, having, of being in control. And then also it is a partnership between, hello, Dwayne Tudor. How are you this day? It's so great to have you here as always. Yes, you got to say hello to Dwayne. All right. Okay. So Theo who is actually here in celebration, and Theo is also VIP. So Theo is saying very dismissive and condescending. Londell took all the air out the room. He cut off Charles and the other panelists multiple times. So again, I was in a different session than Theo because Theo's VIP and I was GA. So, and also they did the VIP one after they did the GA one. So they could also have been tired. And also, as someone who runs events, because one of the things that Londell said that was very telling is the moderator asked him a question and he was like, can you repeat the question? Because I'm thinking about the rehearsal. And I can understand that, like, you're there, but you're not really there. Like and I can imagine like what he's dealing with, because celebration this year is happening at so many different locations with so many people, in terms of, talent,
moving parts,
that he has to wrangle and make sure. And so I can totally understand being distracted, maybe being a little frustrated because you want to make sure everything else is kind of lining up. So it's easier said than done. But as Anna B said, the frustration is loud, meaning that they want us to like just be patient and stop complaining and all of that. So that's the vibe that I got, is that they are working on stuff, but they want to make sure that, and also one of the things that they pointed out, Arthur, that I think is really important, and you'll understand this as someone, you have a crew of people like the music snobs. And I'm sure sometimes you don't align, meaning like not you personally, but everybody in the music snobs do not align on a direction, about an episode or even like a year. And Londell was saying that we also have to, as Prince Legacy LLC, as well as Primary Way, which is a whole other thing, that they have to be in partnership, and those conversations take time, to work out, well, I think this should come out. No, I think this should come out. We should do it this way. We should do it that way. So that was interesting. He also talked about the Diamonds in Love box set, and he talked about why they quashed it. He didn't really go into a lot of detail of why, but I thought it was interesting that he brought it up, because I, for one, would have loved to have gotten the Diamonds in Love box set. And he obviously also talked about the Netflix, documentary as well. So there, he was doing what I call like a preemptive strike. Like he kind of knew all the things that the fans wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
So he was trying to
kind of get ahead of enough.
Yeah. If that makes any sense. So,
yeah.
And then at the end, they took questions. So one of the things that frustrated me personally about the Vault panel was that there was a lot of preamble. And what I mean by that is that they had a moderator. There were a lot of questions, about, how timeless Prince is and stuff like that. And that went on for a long time because I didn't think that we were going to even get to audience questions. And then when we did get to audience questions, I was surprised at how many we got through, but there were still so many people who wanted to ask questions that weren't able to because we ran out of time.
Okay, sure.
So like if we had, if they would have asked the preamble and just really got into, we want to hear from you, and lined up everybody, just go boom, 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 boom. But it was like, one mic wrangler running around this huge room. So like one person, like, a hotel conference room, how they're huge because we were at the Hyatt in downtown Minneapolis. And I really felt for that person running around. But like if they would have just had like 2 mic stands set up and the people just lined up so they could, then they could done more like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. So, I mean, it's Cynic, in terms of the talking points, is really simple. I mean, as long as it's up to Londell, that doc is not coming out. And I'm going to be honest, I'm with them. So I know that someone said, I think during the I Want to Use symposium, that I said that I wanted it out. I never said that. So I don't know where they got that from, because for me, like if a documentary, okay, let me step back. So Arthur, I had to go see Michael with my mom because my mom loves Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And anything my mom wants to do, I'm going to do it. Okay. So I was really interested in seeing how, because, the Michael biopic is doing amazingly well. It's being very well received by fans. It's being really, and it's one of the people and one of the younger fans that were in our vault conversation actually brought up Michael and how well that was doing and how that was putting Michael back on the charts, and how if something similar could happen for Prince, then, Prince could be introduced to a younger audience. And also, he would also be kind of, his music would be brought back on the charts. And one of the things that I really loved about the Michael biopic that I was just, I'm going to be honest, the whole time I was watching this movie, I was thinking about Prince though. Like,
okay.
So I'm always going, okay, this is what Prince is doing during this timeline.
Yeah.
This is what Prince is doing during this timeline. And then also, like what would happen if there was a Prince biopic? How would you do this? Blah, 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 blah. But the one thing that I love about the Michael biopic is that they really, for the most part, focus on the music. There was obviously the father-son dynamic, which is really important to touch on when it comes to Joe Jackson and Michael. But for the most part, I absolutely love that it was really focused on key moments, like the Motown 25 and, just the music, and like, and making Thriller and like that's what I would want for Prince, like centered on the music and not on this other stuff that based on the interviews that I read with people who were in the documentary or were interviewed for the documentary, it was not going to be centered on Prince's music. So why are you going to create a documentary about one of the, in my opinion, the best musician who has ever lived and not center it around music? So why do we need a doc that's not going to center Prince as a musician? I don't get it. So I'm with Londell when it comes to that. So I'm happy that he quashed it personally. So that's just me. So Cynic, this was not addressed in my session. Maybe JD can say, or Theo, if this was discussed in the VIP vault conversation, but it wasn't discussed in GA. I love this. So Dr. Claw is saying, I would say the music was there, but Michael was humanized in a way he's not been allowed to in mainstream media for the longest. Yeah.
Yeah, I had appreciated that angle also. The only real criticism I had about, and I generally don't like music biopics. My wife, she kind of laughs at me because I'm kind of a snob over that.
Yeah,
But
I'm with you. I'm with you.
despite it, I really did, I really did enjoy this. And you can only tell so much of a story in 2.5 hours. All of that aside, what I what I what I thought was under either underutilized or just not driven home was really just how famous the Jackson Five were.
Yes.
Period. Before you even got to to Off the Wall, and they did touch on that in a couple of scenes. There was one scene when Michael's in his bedroom and they're showing him through the mirror, and you see some caricatures of himself, like in the left bottom corner of the mirror, and that was a reference to the Saturday morning cartoon show that they had. And then you had the conversation between Michael and his mother over ice cream, and he talks about, well, I'd love to go, and play with kids my own age, but they just, all they want to do is look at me and take my picture, and so slanting that isolation and the fact that they, had this bubble around them. But because there was also this sort of disconnection between Michael and his other brothers to make him special, to make him different, to make him right, you didn't really get this idea of this cohesive, five juvenile teenage boy band who was big even then, But again, Claw's right. It's like the way that they were able to humanize him, and drop seeds of him being in the hospital and the pain medicine and the morphine, and also his interaction with children in the toy store, and actually going to the hospital to visit children. There was this foundationary storytelling that could contextualize the later years when he had the allegations, when there was a trial, when there was all this quote unquote weirdness about Michael, the Vigalato scene in the dermatologist, the reasoning for the reconstruction to the face and stuff like that. Those are very, very, very key moments.
Yeah. I mean, so it wasn't just focused on the music, it was humanizing him. But I love that the main beats in the film was kind of chaptered around key music moments, if that makes any sense.
Oh no, it makes a lot of sense. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
key music moments.
Yes.
Let me know when you're ready about talk about Timeless, because I'm locked and loaded.
Okay, well, I just
ready when we want to get to this book, because we're talking about Dream Factory this week.
Yes. So I want to just highlight some things. So Theo was saying that they loved hearing from the Primary Wave people, wish that we had heard more from them. And Let's See 71 is asking, did he mention anything about the revival of the MPG Music Club? Not in my session. So if Theo or JD can speak to that, I appreciate it. And JD is saying they mentioned several times how they have increased their capacity workforce to help with the archiving. And then JD is saying not much about the movie, except that they proudly killed the Netflix doc. Interestingly, that comment came on the heels of touting the licensing of Prince music on Stranger Things, also on Netflix. I mean, so a couple of, we had, there was a 18 or 19-year-old in the GA, and then also, so we had some younger fans in the room, and they were very vocal, which was really fantastic. And one of the things that they said was, these licensing deals is actually really key to getting, the younger audience. So I think, like the Stranger Things, Is God Is, Nemesis, all of these placement of Prince songs and pretty key media is really important, because we want, obviously, Prince's name to remain on the lips of the children. So, these things are really, really important. So just really quickly before we get into Timeless and all of that, and we have a lot to talk about in terms of 1986 for this week. And next week, I'm going to try to bring on Theo and JD. If you'd be willing to come on, that would be amazing. I'll try to get Cassandra I'm going to try to get a VIP posse next week, and then probably a GA posse the following week, so we can kind of talk more collectively. But the one thing I really want to talk about is last night. For me, the price, and you could have gotten a single ticket for last night, but for me, the price of Celebration was worth it for last night alone, because there was a combination of members of the MPG and the Revolution, and I'm sure you guys have seen the clips, and I don't want to go into a lot of detail since we're going to also be talking to other people the next couple of weeks, hopefully. But the one thing I want to share is everybody and their mama should know how much I love me some Bilal. And I was just so thrilled to see Bilal on that stage last night at the Armory, because he was almost at the very end, and I was like, what is he not showing up? So I was just waiting and waiting. Everybody, they would keep announcing people, and I would stand up, waiting for Bilal, then I sit back down. So I was like, when is he coming? So he finally came on stage, and he sung The Beautiful Ones, and he also sung If I Was Your Girlfriend, and he was in a great, this is the time to see Bilal. If you've seen Bilal in the past and you're like, this is the time to see him. I think he's at his peak, or he's hopefully a long peak, because his voice is like the best it has ever been. And he did a phenomenal performance. But I am going to be very honest. Because someone just posted, where is this? Pickled Mama posted, saw him at the 2016 First Avenue show with the Revolution. I did too. And one of those things, and Arthur did too, and one of those things that he did was Private Joy. So because Lisa Coleman was on stage and Bobby Z was on stage, I was like, please, please, please do Private Joy one more time. But he didn't do that. And then the other thing that I really wanted him to do last night was Sister, because he did that went for the Carnegie Hall celebration that he did with Questlove, and it was just like fantastic. So I really wanted him to do that. And so Mackenzie was there, and Mackenzie was doing incredible jobs. And you're gonna love this, Arthur. So I think we were allowed to record, and I think Cam was able to get this for you. But Bobby Z was on stage for Uptown, and how he did it. He still had it. It was crazy how incredible that was. And Mackenzie sung Uptown, and I was like, why aren't they having Bilal? And Mackenzie did an amazing. Mackenzie's amazing. But I was like, you got Bilal. Why can't Bilal sing Uptown? So it was really, really crazy. And then Miguel, I had never seen Miguel live. I've never heard a Miguel song. Miguel's voice was great. So it was really great seeing him perform some of the songs. And I'm blanking because I'm not really following the Prince musical, but the lead from the Prince musical was also there. Oh, but you know who I'm not talking about that I should be talking about? Sounds of Blackness. Just I don't know. I have no words. They were so incredible. So Kat Graham, who's the actress and kind of worked with Prince on music. I was a huge fan of the Vampire Diaries. She opened the set, and I really wish that the Sounds of Blackness had opened. And so we'll talk more about that next week and all that. But last night was really incredible. And there was Cora on drums, and and then Bobby Z would come out sometimes, and sometimes Cora and Bobby were playing at the same time.
Oh wow!
Yes, and then they had obviously Lisa, but then they had Cassandra O'Neill on keys and Morris Hayes on keys. Mike Scott was on guitar, And then Levi was also on guitar.
Mm-hmm.
Sonny T was on bass.
Mm-hmm.
And
And Tevin
then
Campbell was there, right? Tevin?
yes, Tevin Campbell was there, and he sung Round and Round. I was hoping he was also going to sing Shh, but he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
He sung Can We Talk. Bilal also sung Soul Sister, like he sung one of his songs. I really wish he would have did Sometimes, because I think it would have been more appropriate for a Prince audience. And Tevin was great. I had never seen Tevin live before, but his performance was super short. And there were some hiccups there, here and there, with some of the, but it's a lot of moving parts. There was a lot of guest singers and mics and all sorts of things. So I have no complaints about that show. It was really long, and I really do think that if they would have cut Cat Graham, they also had some clips of Prince throughout. And I don't know about you, Arthur. When I go see a live show, I don't want to see any video. I don't need videos. So there was like little short clips of Prince videos in between. So they had Prince, like when they played like Bat Dance.
Yeah.
Like perform that live. And when they would perform certain songs live, they would have video of Prince, like from that either music video, on the side, which is great.
Oh, okay.
But in between, like when the live music would stop, sometimes they would have these videos of Prince speaking, to various things. And I didn't like the videos that kind of stopping the live show to watch Prince at 3 different times throughout the show.
Kind of breaking up that energy and everything.
Yeah, breaking up the energy. But yeah, it was a really great show last night. They did a really phenomenal job putting that together, and it was at the Armory. So the Armory, 1 year, I can't remember because I'm really bad with dates. One of the big screen shows was also at the Armory. So it's nice to be able to go back to the Armory. And the sound was amazing at the Armory as well. So it was a really, really great venue for that show. So, all right. So let's keep it moving because we can talk about this forever. And I didn't go to either one of these, so I'll let somebody else speak to this. I was too tired when I got in on Wednesday night to go to the First Avenue show, but I heard that Shaka did not have a live band. And then I was too tired for the Club 3121. Oh, the thing I forgot about the live show last night, the background singers were Liv Warfield, Mackenzie, and Ashley Tamar. So, and then sometimes they would come out from being background singers and sing lead. So that was really, really fantastic. So like what an amazing background lineup. Oh, and another thing before I forget that I was not expecting, but I so enjoyed were the twins. The twins were there. Yes. And they were dancing their butts off and they looked amazing. And you could tell they were really into it. Like, I just love their energy. That was like a really key highlight for that performance last night, just seeing them on stage. So it was like really, really, really great. So yeah, at the Armory, Prince definitely filmed Little Red Corvette. And I can't remember the other one, but definitely Little Red Corvette. There were a couple videos at that Prince filmed at the Armory. Yes, loved the twins. They were fantastic. Okay, so today, for those of you who are in Minneapolis, there's obviously a block party that's going on that is co-produced by Pace Park and the city of Minneapolis. They want 10,000 people. That was what was told to us. To show up to sing along at 4:30 p.m. and it's really close to First Avenue and where the mural is. So that's going on later today. There's also a PRN alumni meet and greet that's happening roughly at the same time, 2 to 5 p.m. at the Spitz Mediterranean restaurant on Hennepin. And then this is what I'm waiting for, Arthur. There is going to be a Live for Love charity event tomorrow on Prince's birthday, and it's going to feature Sheila And I'm sure if it's anything like the video I saw from LA, because they did this in LA, and I was really bummed that I couldn't make it out there. And like Andre Simone showed up, like all these different people showed up. So who knows who's going to show up tomorrow for Prince's birthday. So I am extremely excited about this. So I ran out of time, and yes. So he did the 1999 videos at the Armory, Little Red Corvette, AUTC Omatic, and 1999. Yes. Let's see. Okay, so Theo is saying Shaka performed 5 songs and previewed several songs from her upcoming album. She let the crowd and background singers do most of the singing. That's what I call the Al Green method. I love seeing Al Green in concert, but I hate when he wants the audience to sing. I do not want to hear. I came to hear Al Green sing, but that's my thing. But she was having a good time. I'm very happy to hear that. And then JD is saying, should get a huge crowd. Twins game and Lynx game finish around 3 or oh my God, that's going to be a lot of people. I'm glad that you're telling me this, JD. So I might not join the block party because that's like too many people. The introvert in me is like, I don't know. Let's see. All right. Okay. So I forgot because, I'm all excited and I didn't put in a slide about Timeless and all that, but I know, Arthur, you are ready to talk about Timeless. So let's get this Timeless conversation on. What you want to say about it?
Yeah, let me just get a sip of water. So I had asked you earlier about if you felt that there was any kind of condescending tone from either Spicer or Macmillan, because there has been a lot of pushback and flack over, even going back to a year ago sometime, where I know the Prince account on Twitter or X, talked about how the vault is free. And on the anniversary this year of that tweet, there were memes going like, okay, if it's free, where'd it go? Like, where did it run away? Like, nothing has happened, And then an announcement about a non-box set, either the inference of a non-box set of Parade, a deluxe version in the similar vein of Around the World in a Day. And that caused a wave of discontent from the fan base. So Timeless on its face started getting trashed online because it felt like a damn fine here kind of thing. And I heard about Timeless because of the backlash, you know what I mean? and looking at it, and going to Prince Vault and kind of tracking the dates of recordings, I saw, okay, this is kind of a thread of periods. I think there was a project that was either going to be called Decades or codenamed Decades, where it was going to be a set, kind of like the originals, but the theme was that these were going to be periods of, his 4-decade, career. But yeah, it feels like Timeless could be, a cool record store day release, but not the event kind of release that 10 years after Prince's passing, during the celebration where they're celebrating, quote unquote, not celebrating 10 years, but they're recognizing 10 years of Prince's passing. 1986, the 40th anniversary of Parade and Under the Cherry Moon, and Kiss as a huge single. Timeless doesn't feel like an event release, and I think that has begun to give the feeling that maybe not even begin, more like a solidification or the codification of, all right, they're not really thinking about what, not even so much of what we want, but what are we trying to communicate? Are we trying to communicate anything you know. Um, I remember slight side note. Remember when Warner Brothers put out The Vault? It was like
Mhm.
late 90s.
Yep.
And it was like they just kind of put this thing out. They called it The Vault, and they just released some songs, you know. And I remember seeing it, and it was like a 10-minute version of She Spoke to Me, and I was like, okay, cool. I got one on it, you know. I looked at the track list here for Timeless, and I saw Tick Tick Bang Bang, and I'm thinking, okay, well, if that's the 1981 version, cool. I got one, but I'm already side-eyeing kind of like the rest of it
Mm.
because there's nothing that really ties it all together. Um, and so it really does make me feel like there is just a misplaced motivation of when, why, and how they do some of these kinds of releases. You know, I mean, the quality of the artwork. I mean, it's the picture's nice, it's okay, but I'm sure you would have had a very different idea if you were going to do a Prince cover,
Yes.
called Timeless, right?
Yes.
I think you would have had a very different idea if you were going to release a digital single for With This Tear, that
Yes.
doesn't look like the release of Free a year earlier. you and so yeah, it just seems like there are these missed opportunities for other kinds of releases that would not, and not to satisfy the fan base, but to preserve the legacy and speak to both our market, the Gen X market, through the millennial market, through the Gen Zs. And some of this stuff, it's going to take time. But other things are like, well, if you could have got this done, how come you couldn't have, I don't know. Like we're talking about Dream Factory this week. Baron, and I'll close on this because I know when I get going, I kind of can get going. I was Baron was tweeting about, he put out a tweet reminiscing about the bootleg era that we had, and he put up pictures of 3 bootleg releases. One was Crucial, one was Crystal Ball, which was a 2 or 3 CD set. I think it was a double CD set, and the third was Charade.
That was my
and
favorite.
Charade is a very favorite. Yeah,
Yes.
Charade is a very famous bootleg from that time. And I'm thinking, well, damn, wow, why not put out a quote, like an official Charade, an alternate version of Parade? Now that's a great on point thematic placeholder for a box. Now, is there some back and forth that you need to have to do with Primary Wave or Warner or something? Like, I don't know. But y'all got this done, and you got this out the door. So is the framing of thinking off? Or is there some larger agenda, that we're not, because see, I'm the guy that always says, this is not that hard. This is not hard to do. The Bowie estate is able to do this. The Miles Davis estate is able to do this. They've got a 7 release series called the Bootleg series for Miles Davis.
Mm-hmm.
What other artist is better suited for a bootleg series than Prince?
Yeah.
Let me just
Okay.
take a little water.
Well, I have a lot to say, but I'll try not to be too verbose. Just because I really want to get to what did Prince do this week, because there's a lot going on in 1986. And also I want to go to some of the events later today. So I'm also a little selfish as well. So before we get into the whole Timeless conversation, I do want to go back to The Vault, the album. The Vault, actually, like you said, in real time, it was not any fanfare. And I find, and the same with Chaos and Disorder for that matter, I find that when certain releases aren't given like the reverence or the marketing that we as Prince fam, think that it deserves, because it does. I'm not saying that it doesn't, that we have a tendency to dismiss those projects for whatever reason. I will say that the vault is something that I still listen to this day. It's one of my favorite projects for when the lights go down alone. Now, I
Mm-hmm,
was
mm-hmm,
very upset with that version of Old Friends for Sale,
mm-hmm.
but but it got 5 women on there. It has, she smoked. It's like a really fantastic project. So I think one of the points I want to make as it relates to Timeless, even though it might not be put out the way that we want, we're still getting unreleased Prince music, and as long as we get unreleased Prince music, some of us should be happy because we are very privileged in that we are getting a lot of Prince music as compared to other estates. I don't really follow the MJ estate, but I hear from other MJ people that Prince people are getting more than the MJ people are getting. That's what
Oh,
I've
it's
heard.
absolutely true. Yeah.
That's what I heard from MJ people because I don't really follow that. But I know I follow Bowie,
Right,
and
right.
I know Bowie is getting a lot, so I just want Prince to be seen at the same level of a Bowie because that's who he is. I mean, there's not like, we don't need to debate this, like they are on the same level. So if Bowie can get all this stuff, Prince should get all this stuff. That's the way that I
Mm-hmm.
see it, right?
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I am absolutely putting that marble vinyl edition of Timeless on my Father's Day gift list. I am not. I know I'm. I know I'm trashing this release. That's not my motivation. It's where my
Mm,
energy is coming from.
yeah.
Um, but I just really, really, really do feel that there needs to be a fan in the room to contextualize some of this.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with what I mean. I don't disagree. So I want to put up this one comment that someone posted that I really, really connect with 1,000,000%. And this is Elder Barr's comment. I decided not to get negative anymore about expected music releases because it's gotten overly nasty
Yeah,
the
it has.
last few days, particularly online. Now, they could just go like, "We're not giving you nothing."
Yeah.
We're tired of you. But obviously, they can't do that because they want to make money. But in theory, I mean, they could just like cut us off if they wanted to. But that's a whole nother, and it's not really about that. For me, it's about the toxicity online. And as you know, I'm not really on social media. I'm on social media to promote like symposia and things, but I haven't been checking social media because it is just so toxic right now. Not with just Prince, but just with everything that's going on in the world, obviously. But I don't know if Prince would want us to be just so nasty, to one another. And I'm not just forget about the estate. Like there's a lot of nastiness, like fan to fan, that's also going on. It's just like a lot of nastiness, and I feel like sometimes when negativity has a way of going viral and positivity does not. And so I think we have to be like really careful right now with so much going on in the world and with so much negativity in the world. Prince is my safe space. Prince has always been my anchor. When the world is wacky, I have always held on to Prince like there's nothing else in the world. And I need him more than ever right now. So I wish that they would have announced a Parade box set. Like, who wouldn't? Like, I mean, a lot of people want a Parade box set. Am I disappointed? Yes. But am I going to be nasty about it? I don't know. I mean, and am I happy that they released something? Because they could have released nothing. I'm happy
Mm-hmm.
that they released something. So that's kind of how I see it. But it's really because of all this negativity right now in the fan base. And I just, Prince wants, he recorded a song called Positivity. Have you had your plus sign today? So I just think we need to keep that in the foreground.
No,
That
no, and I do agree. And I don't I I don't engage like I'm saying this to you and the family that's joined us today, like I'm saying this to you so you can
Yeah.
hear my tone, you can hear my timbre, you feel my energy, and And you, especially knowing me, you could probably feel the love that's in what I'm
Of
actually
course. Of
saying.
course.
You type that out in a tweet, it can be assigned whatever voice, it is that you want.
Yep.
Um, I'm thinking that a lot of this is generational, you know, like so let me give you a fast example. Let's say there was a project that was done by Prince Legacy LLC that took singers and musicians, right? current popular, current, come up and coming, right? And they did a compilation Prince tribute album, right? Now the idea, and I'm just pulling this out of the air, the idea of Bruno Mars covering a door might be sacrilege to you and I, but that tracks for somebody else,
Yeah.
right? Thundercat doing something, we might dig it. That either may fall flat or track with someone younger than us. Same for someone like Steve Lacy, right? Some of the stuff can work. Some of the stuff can work. Some of the stuff can't for us, but for generations down the pipe, it does. And so now what you've done is you've kept Prince relevant. You've served the same fundamental purpose of the tie-ins to Stranger Things, the tie-ins to Is God Is, right? And you're moving this forward. I'm not saying that Timeless does not do that.
Mm-hmm.
It does help for the consistency. It's fun to buy a new Prince record for me. I just want to buy the record because I'm buying a Prince record, right? But I feel like a certain disconnect is happening. It kind of felt like, that time Londell was in Prince's house and there was some song playing. Can we find that song? Because I really liked it. Let's put it on that because that's unreleased. I don't know if I'm really making sense, to be honest with you.
Well, you actually just something you just said really hit a chord with me, and you just said you just want a new Prince album. So one of the things with the previous incarnation of the estate, this is not a critique. This is just a fact. We almost had something every year or every 2 years that we could look forward to because they would announce it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost as if Prince were still here.
Originals,
we're going to get
piano on the microphone.
Yes. The 1999 Super Deluxe, the Sign of Time Super Deluxe. Even though I wasn't happy with the Sign of Time Super Deluxe, but, I was happy that we got the Sign of Time Super Deluxe.
Yeah.
Because one of the things about being a Prince fan that was critical to me, and probably one of the number one reasons why I was a Prince fan, was because I could always count on Prince to deliver something almost like a clock every single year that I could look forward to. So for me right now, that's the element that's missing, something that has been announced with a clear date where we can really look forward to it. So like, I totally understand because actually JD put in here, do you think this release is intended to tide us over while they work on more complex Super Deluxe versions that are coming? I do think that this is probably—
I should think that also.
Yeah, that's what's happening. And another thing that is really important that JD is pointing out is this is a business. The reality is they do need to maintain cash flow, because you've heard me say this a gazillion times. I'm going to say it a gazillion times more. It takes 100 years for a building to become a landmark. I do not want Paisley Park to become an automobile dealership, because it's 100 years is a long time. So we have to spend money in order to make sure that Paisley Park remains. That's one of the reasons why I continue to come back to Celebration, is so that they can keep the lights on. Because I can't even imagine what the light bill is for Paisley Park alone. It's 65,000 square feet. Yeah. So, I mean, we have to make sure that we support the state, just to make sure that we continue to get what we want, but also to make sure that certain key things, and one of the keys is Paisley Park, remains, a viable business. So we kind of have to support them if, we have to look at the long game. Like, we want to make sure that Paisley Park becomes a landmark building. And in doing so, we won't be here in 100 years, but our kids and our kids will be. So we need to make sure that, again, we pass on the love of Prince's music to the next generation and to the next generation. So it's so important that another thing I will say, kind of like, so what we're doing right now, and I know we're doing this on YouTube, so this is a little problematic. Sometimes I wish that this was like maybe a Zoom that I didn't do on YouTube, that it wasn't like the masses couldn't get it, because there's something what my grandmother used to say, it's family talk, like inside talk, and then there's talk for the public or the rest of the people. I think sometimes that the family talk that we have, and we're having a family conversation right now, when certain people see it, they see it as just like totally negative, meaning like, oh, these people don't like timeless, they don't want timeless, and they don't see that we're actually just critiquing, and like, how can this be better? Not that we don't want it, but how can this be better? But people don't understand nuance anymore. Like, we live in a very black and white world, like literally. And so like, if people would just understand, we're having these conversations out of love. Why would you wake up 9 o'clock in the morning when I ask you to join me? If you did not love Prince, you could sleep in. You're like, why do you continue to participate whenever I ask you to? Because you're not doing it. You're doing. I know you're doing it for me because you are my friend. But Absolutely. At the end of the day, you're doing it for Prince. Like, that's who you're really doing it for, because you know Prince's music is important. We want Prince's music to continue. We want Prince to become Mozart, Picasso, like something that is evergreen, that is timeless. That's the reason why they're doing this timeless thing. So because sometimes people can, what's the word? Misinterpret your intent. But one of the things that I love that you said is that if you know who we are, if you understand why we do what we do, you would understand that this isn't really what people call a criticism. There's a difference between criticism and a critique. A critique is when you want something to be better. There's this concept of continuous improvement. I critique myself. Whenever I do an event, I do a debriefing. How could this be better? That didn't work. You know, and so like, everything is not like, oh, you know, for stuff that I do for myself. I'm like my biggest critic. So we just want to make sure that Prince is, so Arthur, I'm gonna be in full disclosure. I want Prince to be revered just as much as a Bowie.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that's who Prince was to me.
Yeah.
So I'll shut up, as C. Lee would say.
Yeah, I have a couple box sets on the flash when I'm looking down now, and one of those box sets is the 1999 Subaru Deluxe set, which I think is that's the gold standard of the Prince box set releases, and it's still in plastic, still sealed. And my friends, my wife is like, "Why don't you open it? Why don't you open it? Why don't you open it?" You know, and it's like, you know, I actually just want this to age, so that when my youngest daughter grows up to be in her 20s, in her 30s, in her 40s, it's like, now we have a time to open up something almost like a time capsule to hear one of the most phenomenal albums that have ever been created by one person in his basement or his spare room in 1982, right? And I starting this out about times, because God knows I know we got to move on. We Kim and Kim, we're gonna get on it. You know, I started out saying like, wow, this would be a cool record store day release. And what does that mean? Well, that means that there's a certain context, there's a certain market, there's a certain motivation for record store day, and have these alternate releases be put into the public for consumption. And Prince record store day releases do very well, which stacks onto the legend and the legacy and the popularity of Prince and why his music is so revered, you know. And I call an event release something like this: 10 years later, celebration. This is the week. This is happening, right? Is this the best framing for this album? I just don't think so. Could there have been some other kind of framing? I don't know if doing a charade is a good idea. I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. We need a fan in the room to actually kind of voice these kinds of ideas, because it may line up with something else that actually makes more sense. Hey, well, maybe we can whip up a dream factory together. Notice I said whip up because this was whipped up. Maybe we could whip up a dream factory, and put that out. Maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do that. Maybe we could take the birthday show that was done at First Avenue in 1986, and put that out as a digital release. Do something a little bit different. See if that works. Because I really do think that we have to go through this period of try, attempt, direction, to see what patterns evolve that are successful. So I'm gonna take some water. I've been rolling for a little while.
Okay, so
I'm gonna try to dial it back.
All right, so just 3 more things and then we're gonna move on. So first, I really love this comment from Man Ray 10, and I think Arthur, you'll appreciate it too. The 1999 Super Deluxe Edition is the release that convinced me that Prince's entire catalog deserves a Super Deluxe treatment. Mm-hmm. Yes, I agree. And then the other thing is, I wonder what your comment is about this from Local Art. P is never going to sell in huge numbers anymore. He will always have a strong hardcore base. His work and performances alone will guarantee new interest. It will be on a scale of Miles Davis, not MJ. Any thoughts about that?
Well, I'm shaking my head from side to side only because Michael Jackson, Michael was special. Mike was a unicorn. Mike is like an over here kind of artist. He and Prince obviously competed. And I do think that the competition had more to do with their alignment of both age and releases.
And race.
Yeah, and race. I mean, for example, Michael and Prince are compared to James Brown. They never needed to compete with James Brown, right? I could see a scenario where, if they were 20 years apart, one to the other, maybe one would be compared to the other, but would they never need to be competing with one another? So he's absolutely right. Prince is never going to do the number. Prince is never going to have a Thriller. He didn't have one then. He's not going to have one coming in the future with something that's coming out on the vault. That's why I say the lane is wide enough that we could have two genius, masterful figures, in the same space. It doesn't have to be one or the other. But specifically to the framing of his comment, because what I just said, I didn't get that from the framing of his comment. I do agree that from a popularity standpoint, I'm kind of remembering what I read. It is much more along the lines of Miles Davis. But this is 1986 is Miles Davis's centennial. There is a reason why we're still talking about Miles Davis. And in truth, it's more than just the music. Miles was an impactful figure that produced masters in his own right through the bands that he had over the decades. So Miles is just bigger than the music. And my assertion is that Prince is bigger than the music. So right. I hope I nailed kind of what his point was, but that's what I inferred from the comment.
So a couple of people are asking you don't think Purple Rain was on the level of Thriller?
I mean, well, I think Purple Rain's a better album than Thriller. I mean, there's that. But Purple, if we're comparing 1-to-1, it's really not an argument about Purple Rain and Thriller. It's an argument about 1999 and Thriller.
Right.
And I think that's a better album too, 1999.
Yep. No, I hear you. So I think, we've had this conversation before. At his root, especially in the time that we're talking about, like in the 80s, and like Prince was a cult artist.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things, so I forgot to tell you about the other panel. So they had a women's panel, which was really important. And Maya, one of the twins, was there, and Lisa Coleman was on there, Ashley Tamar was on there, and Cassandra O'Neill was on there. And one of the things that Lisa Coleman said was that they never expected Purple Rain, the film and album, to blow up the way that it did. Mm-hmm. And another thing that Lisa said is that they viewed themselves, Prince included, as an alternative band before alternative music was even a term. Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't think that, I mean, obviously, I didn't have this conversation with Prince. I don't want to put any words in Prince's mouth, but if, as an observer, it seemed to me that Prince didn't want to be at the level of an MJ because he wanted to make the music that he wanted to make. And once you get as big as someone like Michael Jackson, there are huge expectations. Mm-hmm. And it also kind of puts you in a bit of a box in terms of musical expression. You know what I'm saying? So mm-hmm. That's, one thing. So a couple things I want to, there's a couple other comments. Eldebar, they also talked about this during the vault conversation because someone asked the same question. This would have been a perfect time for the piano and microphone release. And their response was essentially, it takes time, because that's like sure. But also we want to provide more context. They were like, yes, we could have just put it out, but we want to take the time to do something really special with it. And they didn't want to rush it. So that was their response to that. And then EA 8133. Yes, I'm reading the Daphne Brooks, Black Star Rising, and the Purple Rain, the Sun, Afterlives of David Bowie and Prince. Yes,
yeah, that ready.
Yeah, that's I'm reading that, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about a lot of the new Prince books that are out or are coming out. Because I'm really excited about the new. Don't you know about the new Eric Leeds book that Dwayne is co-writing with Eric Leeds? I am so ready for that book.
So, no.
Oh, you didn't know
I
that?
No, I didn't know that. That's going to be incredible because Eric actually wrote stuff down.
Yes, he wrote stuff down. He kept a journal that he did not lose, like I did yesterday. So yes, we're very excited about the books. All right, and then let's see. So I just want to end on this, and then we're going to move forward with what did Prince do this week, because Kim has already given us the 1:15 p.m., and I can't believe we're already 1:15 p.m. into this, and we haven't even gotten to what did Prince do this week. Oh my goodness. But I think this is important to reiterate from Andre. Marvelous conversation, a perfect example of you guys sort of not agreeing with one another, but you're keeping the debate cordial, nuanced, and respectful. We're on the same page. And because we both love Prince, we only just want, Yeah.
And I did presentations at your symposiums about Purple Rain and Around the Rona Day, and even 1999. I was talking about this thread of what Prince was doing and how he reacted to certain things. And so I don't want to just kind of repeat myself and just burn up time. So a lot of my comments are kind of right to the meat of a thing, but there is a bigger context that I actually, talked about in a presentation form that might be at least helpful to know kind of where I'm really coming from.
Yeah. So, we're more aligned than you might think just from this conversation, meaning you out in the audience. And the thing is, we can disagree. It's okay if we disagree. So, Okay. So let's keep it moving. So what did Prince do this week? This is important, Arthur. One day you and Celie will understand this. We're going week to week.
Yeah.
Not date to date. Because in 1986, June 7th fell on a Saturday. So we will talk about the birthday show today.
Yes. Get some water.
Yes, get lots of water. I got my water. Kim, I got my water. You may not be here to see me drink it because I know you're getting frustrated, but I do have my water. Okay, so we are going to be reading Tuesday, June 7th. I'm sorry, Tuesday, June 3rd through, it should say Friday, June 7th. And Dwayne, if you're still here, You have a typo in the book that we're going to talk about because that should say Saturday, June 7th. But in the book, it says Sunday, June 7th, 1986. So that's the reason why that was wrong because I did this like at the beginning of the year, this thing. Okay, so I don't have my paperback today, but you don't need the paperback to participate, but that has the most up-to-date info. And these would be archived at Polysolus as well as at MDean. This is our hashtag. They say, I guess I should change this to Prince Legacy LLC and Primary Wave, or Prince Francis Nelson is not affiliated, Prince connected with the What Did Prince Book Club series. This is an independent endeavor. And our community guidelines, which Arthur and I have been modeling, we choose to be a community, even when we disagree slightly. All right, or disagree straight up. And then we are week 23 of 1986, episode 175, Arthur.
That's a lot. Congratulations.
Thank you. And I couldn't have done it without you, Michael Dean, C. Lee, Ricky, so many people, Big Sexy, so many, Ted, Zach, everybody. Okay, so this week, what happened? In 1986, 2 studio sessions and 2 live concerts. Let's break it down. So on Tuesday, Sheila E was in the studio by herself, Sunset Sound, finishing up the Sheila E album, which is Sheila's 3rd eponymous LP. And they were working on edits and crossfades for Pride and the Passion, Love and Sex, and Soul Salsa. I don't know about you, Arthur, but I really wish that Sheila's version of Love and Sex would have remained on Sheila E because it is still unreleased.
Yeah. I was a big fan of Sheila E's 3rd release.
You and
big fan of that album.
But actually, I think Sheila loves Sex Symbol is his number 1, but he also loves Sheila E a lot as well.
I remember the you know what? Let me put that off to the side because I want to make sure we stay on point. I really like that Soul Salsa was on this album. I like when she has an instrumental song on an album that really showcases her skills and where she comes from a percussive and so-called Afro-Cuban, or better term for it, perspective. I wasn't a huge fan of Mercy for the Speed of a Mad Cloud in Summer from Romance 1600. I was a big fan of Soul Salsa.
So this is where we flip-flop. I was the opposite.
Yeah, okay. All right.
Yes.
My ears might not have been ready too. You know? I mean, I'm a low-level teenager. Still trying to spark. Yeah.
No, but I will say that when I saw the name of the song Soul Salsa before listening to it, I was extremely excited because by that point I had already found Sheila's albums with her father, like Happy Together.
Okay.
And I loved them. I listened to them like they were really good. And I was hoping that Sheila would have really locked into her Latin roots musically earlier, like during this time period, not with just one-offs.
Right.
Because like another thing that happened around this period, I think it might have been, it's 86 or 87, is or maybe 88, Latina Familia. It was a DVD and it was her father, Tito Puente.
Oh.
And it was incredible. It's still to this day, if I watch Sheila in that, I come to tears. Like she is like so phenomenal. You got to look it up. Like it came out on Laserdisc and it came out on VHS, and I had the VHS. I've been waiting for decades now for it to be released on DVD or Blu-ray. It hasn't happened. I'll add it to the company playlist and I'll send it to you separately. But if you do your Googles, someone has posted it online and it is phenomenal. So particularly after I saw Latina Familia, I was like, Sheila needs to really, and now she has, but like in real time in the 80s, I really wish that would have happened. So let's see. And then let me pull up, hold on. I'm dealing with 2 browsers this day. So on Wednesday, we have a mix of Slow Love, and we had a A mix of Can't Stop This Feeling. I got the 1982 version, Yeah, You Know. Possible mix, 1982 version, I Can Never Take the Place of Your Man, 1979 review. I still can't believe that song is from 1979. So he pulled it out and reviewed I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man from 1979 on this day, on Wednesday in 86. And then, Arthur, the Dream Factory album is assembled. Now, I get into arguments sometimes with people that they say Dream Factory is not an album project. I don't know why they say that, but
it's funny. It's like a flat Earth conversation. Yeah, I've gotten into those too.
So we're not going to go there today because we ain't got time for that. But we acknowledge that some people don't think that Dream Factory is not an album. I do, because obviously it has different configurations and it's been assembled and all that. And then on Thursday we have horn overdubs and some mixing of Slow Love, as well as a mix of Yeah, You Know. And then on Friday and Saturday we have some more dates on the Hit and Run tour in Detroit. What up, though? And then we have Friday, the Masonic Temple Auditorium, as well as Saturday, Cobo Arena. And then in between these two, if I have I could be wrong. When did the Electrifying Mojo interview happen? Do you think it was the night of the first date, right?
I thought it was after Cobo Hall.
You think it was after Cobo Hall? Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So after Cobo, because I was meaning to check it before I did, so I'll take your word for it. Okay, I showed this last week before we get into this week, and Sheila kind of went over this, so I want to slow down just for a hot second. I always wonder, why in the heck does Vanity have on a parade outfit in peach in 1986 when she had supposedly flown the coupe? So I have to give thanks to the Prince Archive for letting me know she's on her way, to the Tramps nightclub in Beverly Hills on May 3rd, 1986. And Prince had performed earlier with the Revolution that day in LA at the Wilton Theater, which Sheila talked about last week. And so also I was able to find this picture, which is even because I've never seen the bottoms.
Yeah.
So like seeing her in the complete outfit. And more than likely, this photo is also Ron Galella, because he took a lot of photos of Vanity. I love this photographer because he loved Vanity, because he took a lot of photos of her around this time. So I'm assuming it's probably a Ron photo. But this is an incredible photo of seeing Vanity in 86 in this parade outfit that obviously Prince gave her. So anyway, I just wanted to clarify why I had that. And it was always, I never knew why she had it on, where she was going. So I was just really thrilled that someone posted this a few weeks ago. So I wanted to clear that out for some people, because I mentioned this. And also Sheila came to the same club, and this is what Sheila was looking like. So Sheila is very much into her, what I call her Sheila E era, with like the blonde and the longer hair and all of that. And this photo is by Steve Granitz. And so now we can move on to our first reading of the day, which, Arthur, if you don't mind, Tuesday, June 3rd, 1986. And we can skip the quote by Susan Rogers, because we don't have time for that.
All right. Tuesday, June 3rd, we've got Pride and the Passion, 2-track edit and crossfades. Love and Sex, 2-track edit and crossfades. Soul Salsa, wait for it, 2-track edit and crossfades. And we have Sheila E's third album, Assembled, edits and credit and crossfades. Happened at Sunset Studio, late as hell. Prince is the producer, Sheila E is the artist. Prince was named but scratched out, and Coke Johnson was the engineer. Prince flew back to Minneapolis, leaving Sheila to work on her album. Over the last few days, she'd recorded overdubs on Soul Salsa and likely some other tracks, preparing them for this session. During this shift, crossfades, edits, and dissolves were done on several tracks, and Sheila's album was compiled during this short session. Prince did not attend the session, and Sheila oversaw the work, but she was not as enthusiastic about where she was in her career. In 1987, Sheila explained her thoughts on making a switch. I'm more comfortable being in the background, playing behind someone. I can play drums and percussion and not have to worry about carrying a show. There's incredible pressure on a solo artist. You don't have that kind of pressure as a background player. I just need a break from it. It was also becoming obvious to some of those around Prince that Sheila wasn't alone in her thoughts about backing away from fronting her own band. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that Prince's long-term vision was that Sheila was going to end up being the drummer in the band, reflected Eric Leeds. 2 cassettes were made, one C60 and one C90 were made of the collection.
All right, so this is where Arthur and I also disagree, but that's okay. We love each other still. So I love Sheila as a drummer.
So, okay, go ahead, finish your thought.
And I know Arthur is not the biggest fan of Sheila as a drummer, but as everybody should know, the Love Sexy Sign of Times band is my favorite Prince band, and I am happy that Sheila did not want to be in the front and that she wanted to become the drummer. So that's all I want to say about that.
Oh, wait, you took that moment just to say that? All right.
I'm trying to be positive.
Oh, yeah, you're positive. It's a community.
Yes, it's a community. But so how do you feel about this, Arthur?
About your side note or about what we read?
Well, about what we read was that Sheila, it was clear to everybody that Sheila wanted to step down as being part of the front.
Yeah.
She
Okay.
wanted to become Prince's drummer. So it is about the reading.
Right. So I think that for me, I grew up playing drums. I've talked about it before, but I'm not great at it. Aside from all of that, I was really aware of drums on Prince records. And when, as early as Sheila playing drums on Pop Life, I thought, oh man, you know what? I think she's going to be in a band one day. But I was really, I'm a big Bobby C fan. I catch flack for that, but I'm a big Bobby Z fan.
I know that. Yeah.
And so, her being, let me put it this way. Her being in Prince's band after the breakup of the Revolution was not a surprise to me, so much as Prince breaking up the Revolution was a shocker. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I've seen Sheila in the Love 60 band only twice. And I saw the Sheila E show in 1986, supporting Romance 1600. I am a Sheila E fan. She's not my favorite drummer for the band with no name. And that has less to do with her skills, but more to do with what I revere about Prince drums. And like my favorite Prince drummer is John Blackwell. I think Blackwell is a combination of the power of Michael Bland and the dexterity of a Sheila E. Because Sheila E is fluid with her drumming and her fills.
Yeah, I think that's why I love Sheila as a drummer. Like, there are some rehearsals where I am so enamored with Sheila's drum playing that I'm not even listening to anything else. There's and I wish I could say there's this rehearsal in particular where the fills are so incredible and she keeps changing it up. Mm-hmm. That it's just like I was like, I don't know how she's doing this, and she always hits the pocket, but she's like doing all these fills. And I know some people are like not into fills and all that, but I'm into fills.
I am too. Yeah.
So
and her patterns were very influential on Prince, and her patterns are patterns that no other drummer's done
exactly
before or since.
Exactly. And that's the reason why I love her as a drummer personally. So, and then even like now when I see her at her own shows, when she gets on the drums,
Mhm.
it's all over for me. Like that is
Mhm.
like the moment that I am waiting for. Like, because she is very powerful in my personal opinion on the drums, but it is like the intricacy of some of her patterns, and it's just like stuff that I never hear another drummer does because they can't do it because of who Sheila E is in terms of like her fluency on all the other percussion instruments. She brings that to the drums, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure. All right. So, before we move on, because we already talked a little bit about Love and Sex and Soul Salsa, what are your thoughts on Pride and the Passion?
Oh, I really like Pride and the Passion. Um, I don't think it's a phenomenal song, but it's not a song that I've ever skipped.
No, yeah, I love the Pride and Passion for sure. All right, so I'm going to move on to our second reading of the day, which is Tuesday, June 3rd, 1986. Slow Love, my favorite mix. Can't Stop This Feeling I Got, 1982 version, strings mix. Yeah, 1982 version, probable mix. I Can Never Take the Place of Your Man, 1979 version, review, Dream Factory album with symbol, Washington Avenue Warehouse, Edina, Minnesota, producer Prince, artist Prince, engineer Susan Rogers. Okay, I am going to read this quote from Susan Rogers. When we sequenced the record, we needed a song to go between two of the really important songs. It was kind of like a palette cleanser. He would write a song just to put it in the sequence so that the sequence would make sense. I Can Never Take the Place of Your Man and Slow Love were pulled out of the vault to be those segue songs just to help finish this record and get it out there. So he didn't have to write another ballad. He said, I don't feel like writing another ballad. I have no song. Let's put Slow Love on there. I wish he would have felt like writing another ballad. All right. Originally recorded by Prince on July 1st, 1984, Slow Love came to Prince's attention through Carol Davis, a songwriter, former Playboy model, and actress who appeared in the 1984 movie The Flamingo Kid and had been considered for a part in Purple Rain. Slow Love wasn't much of a collaboration, according to her. I wrote that song and he wanted to buy it from me. He had his lawyers call me and they offered me $25K to own the song outright, and I refused. And they got back to me about a month later to give me 50% of publishing and writers, which I accepted for the opportunity to appear on a Prince record. I'm going to stop here. I would not want to pay Carol Davis 50% of publishing and writing for Slow Love. I'm telling you. Okay. When Prince brought it out of the closet and decided to include it on an album, he didn't speak much of Carol Davis, recalls Susan Rogers. I think he said something about they wrote this song together, but that was all. That was all. He didn't talk much about her, but it seemed as if it was a fond memory for him. Obviously, it was. I still don't understand. Okay, never mind. Novi Nabog and Susie Katayama were brought in to add strings to the track, updating the sound, helping it to fit in with the overall feeling of his current project. Yeah, which was originally recorded on June 5th, 1982 and updated in 1985 by Wendy and Lisa, was brought out again as well for additional overdubs and an updated mix. Not every song he wrote would be flawless, but he expressed a pride in all of them and he hoped that they'd be shared with others, according to Susannah. Because he was just so prolific, he wanted it out. He would say, my children need a life. So he would give them life by putting them out. They're all his children, and he would raise his children, and he didn't want to thwart his children. Prince also reevaluated Can't Stop This Feeling I Got, which dates back to 1982 as well, and had also been revisited just over a year ago. The song also received string overdubs from Novog and Katayama, as well as an updated mix on this date. He assembled all of these songs for Dream Factory, his expanding collection that reflected his philosophies and relationship with the people who were important to him, according to Alan Leeds. I'm going to skip the Alan Leeds quote. Work on the 19-track collection will continue, but at this point, it consisted of side 1, Visions, Dream Factory, Wonderful Day, The Ballad of Dorothy Parker, side 2, Strange Relationship, Teacher, Starfish and Coffee, Colors, In a Large Room with No Light, A Place in Heaven Backwards, Sexual Suicide, side 3, Crystal Ball, Power Fantastic, side 4, Last Heart, Witness for the Prosecution, Movie Star, A Place in Heaven, All My Dreams. And there's a coda also about visions. So talk to me about Dream Factory, Arthur. So for me, I mean, obviously, if Dream Factory would have came out, we wouldn't have gotten the Sign of the Times.
Right.
It just wouldn't have happened. And so I will say in real time, hearing about Dream Factory, knowing about these songs, particularly, I will tell you the one that really was a song, I don't know, that I really connected with was Sexual Suicide. Just how different, like it has this energy to it. It
Sheila
was like,
E.
yes, Sheila E.
Sheila E.
Yes, but also Eric Lee's and the horns.
Right.
Like it was like, I'm a high energy person when it comes to my music, and the Sexual Suicide is a high energy song. Obviously, he had been working on Witness for the Prosecution, it seems like, for forever. Obviously, Movie Star is a really just a beloved song by everybody in the community. When I first heard that song, in the boots, it should have been released, in my opinion. Movie Star in particular, and All My Dreams. I also always thought, like, why did that never get released? In a Large Room with No Light, why didn't that ever get released? So there's a part of me, because we have the Ballad of Dorothy Parker here, that kind of wish that Dream Factory would have been released instead of Sign of the Times. I know I'm making a very bold proclamation here, but that's my feeling.
Yeah, I mean, Zakiya actually just dropped a comment, just declarative. Sign of the Times is critically acclaimed, and it is. It's like it's the agreed upon masterpiece, and the roots of it is like this three-headed monster of Dream Factory, the Camille Project, and Crystal Ball, and then edited down to the two sets. So I agree that without Dream Factory, there absolutely would be no Sign of the Times. And I also believe that you kind of have to, if there's no revolution, there is no Dream Factory, because there's so much DNA of particularly Lisa Coleman and Wendy Melvoin and Prince along with this. This is the project that the cover story in 1986 of Rolling Stone, where it's Prince's Women, I think is the name of the.
That is correct.
By Neil Carlin. There are quotes in that article where they're talking about this music.
Yes.
And reading that article on a BART train going home, it was like, oh my God, I can't wait for this to happen. I really think like the most fun what if for me is, what if Dream Factory was released as a Prince and the Revolution album? I think that this would have been their Pet Sounds from like the Beach Boys, where it's like you've got this notion of this band, coming off this Purple Rain movie, Victorian thing, whatever's happening, and doves and all this, that kind of stuff, and then you get this, which actually is like putting the world on notice that, we are, I mean, for those of you that they may not be familiar, the Beach Boys, just that, the Beach Boys, right? Then by the name of it, is that it really does sound like, just this pop, complete outlet and everything, right? But it was like the Beach Boys' Pet Sounds album shook the Beatles. About the same year as Sgt. Pepper, McCartney was like enthralled by the harmonies and the production value of that record. I really feel like Dream Factory would have been that kind of thing for the Prince and the in the Revolution unit. And what was left from that album that continued into Sign of the Times is a reason why Sign of the Times is so critically acclaimed. Um, I really find it interesting that in every configuration of Dream Factory, going through the multiple configurations of it, going into what Crystal Ball, the multiple configurations of that then distilled down to Sign of the Times, the Ballad of Dorothy Parker was always like the fourth song. It never moved its position. And I know here it closes out side one as I'm sorry, the song It closes out side one, but that's only because Visions is so short. It's just a very short piano interlude. So if you really do have like, 4 songs. Anyway, that's really not relevant. But I think that, in fact, I know that a lot of the bootlegs that I was first exposed to, like Crystal Ball and stuff that happened on and Crucial, came out of these songs. And these were just like phenomenal stuff.
Yes. So there are a couple of questions in the chat. One I want to address really quickly. So, Andre, we mentioned earlier that we didn't really want to get into this debate for a time. But Andre is saying, was Dream Factory even something that Prince was serious about releasing, or was it just him compiling tracks together to see where he was going next? I personally think it was an album, a potential for an album, but others are vehemently opposed to that, and they're more relegated to what you have here, that it was just a compilation. But who knows? Only Prince can answer this debate. So we're not going to spend time, just because we have so much to cover with the 2 live dates in Detroit today, and we're almost already at 2. So the other question I was wondering that, Arthur, if you would be interested in answering, if I wonder if the title track for Sign of Times hadn't tackled a social commentary, would the album be regarded with such heft?
Damn, that's a good question.
It is.
I gotta say, I don't think it would. Thinking right here, gun in my head, off the cuff. Because and I say that because the promotion leading up to the release of the album, which we know that the release of the single Sign of the Times, was that. I think it set a tone that helped break up kind of the zeitgeist of Purple Rain and the lows of Under the Cherry Moon, the film, in terms of the critical response to it. I think Sign of the Times, as the opener of the album and also the lead single release, was a clean slate, like flipping an Etch-a-Sketch over and shaking it so that he had a very new palette to begin to create from. And I also think that an important piece of that pre-promotion was Prince's MTV Awards show opening, where he opened with Sign of the Times and Play in the Sunshine. And he's got a very different look. His hair is longer. He's in denim.
Yes.
Right. And, he's got this dancer, and it opens up with just him and Fink, and Cat dancing. I think overall, with Sign of the Times as the lead, that gave Prince an advantage of clearing the slate of what was before and demarking a new time for him. I agree with that statement.
Yeah, it's like a palate cleanser, like Dwayne stated earlier in this chapter. All right, let's move on to Wednesday, June 4th. Do you mind reading that? And you can read the quote from Matt, because it's pretty quick.
Okay. Wednesday, June 4th, 1986. Slow Love, horn overdubs and rough mix. Yeah, a mix. It was recorded at Galpin Boulevard, the home studio in Chanhassen, Minnesota. Produced by Prince. Artist was Prince. Engineer Susan Rogers. The quote: I enjoyed playing on Slow Love. Those are some tricky parts, and I think the horn parts really made the song. Matt, Atlanta Bliston. To be clear, excuse me, to be in Prince's inner circle, It was mandatory that you could relate to him on a musical level, and he surrounded himself with those who could blend their knowledge with his. It wasn't always a smooth process, but when he trusted another musician, he'd often give them much more latitude to add to his sound. For example, the arrangements of the horn parts for Prince's music relied on a blend of his incredible understanding of how elements work together, but also the skills of those around him. As Eric Leeds recalled,
We're going to skip the quote.
okay, and he laughed, he laughed, he laughed. Yeah, okay, so we got updated mixes of, yeah, that's the whole quote, right? Updated mixes of Yeah, You Know, A Place in Heaven, Witness for the Prosecution, and The Ballad of Dorothy Parker likely took place late in the session on this date or the following day.
So what are your thoughts? I don't know where you stand on Slow Love.
I skip it.
Okay, I do too. We are aligned.
I mean, the horns are the star of it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like in the Silent Times Live, I can tolerate it more than the recorded version. But it's because of the transition of the horns, as it goes to the next song in the Silent Times Live. But I said this before, but I'm going to say it again. I do not understand why Prince chose to record that when he could have written a ballad himself. And why would he want to give publishing to this Carol Davis woman? Okay, we're going to move on to 50%. Okay, Friday, June 6, 1986, the moment we've all been waiting for. Detroit, venue, the Masonic Temple Auditorium, capacity 4,100, sold out. And this is Wally Safford, may you rest in peace. That was his testing ground. He thought if it'll work in Detroit, it'll work anywhere. So, like he did with the start of the Purple Rain tour, Prince relied on Detroit as a sounding board, according to Jerome Benton. Prince had a relationship with Detroit. They had this component called Mojo Radio, and he played our stuff, and he accepted us, and he embraced us. With the Hit and Run tour, Prince was playing everything loose. He arrived at 3:30 in Detroit and went immediately to the venue for a 4 o'clock sound check. This evening's show was a run-through for the next day's birthday performance, and almost everything, including the set list and what Prince wore, would be duplicated the following night. So before we get started, I do have some supporting images for this that I want us to look at first. And let me just get set up here.
While you're getting set up in the chat, because we're all hardcore and heavyweights in here, does anybody like Slow Love? And I don't mean like, yeah, I tolerate it, I don't skip it. I mean, we talking about I like this song.
Oh, there's a lot of love for Slow Love, actually.
Okay.
It is. Hold on. So I realize I thought I had my slides wrong, but I just have a slide in the wrong place. So let me just see if I can put it in the right place. Friday, Cobo.
Okay,
Saturday.
Dorothy Edwards, it's nice to meet you. You're my first person.
All right, so yes, so we got Blake Brown. We got Big Sexy in the house. It's I. Yes. And Chris Bournet. Okay. It's a decent, smooth ballad.
No, I need like Dove's Cry level. I'm just trying to see.
Okay. So Rockabosh is saying here in Detroit, we used to have a dance show that I learned about last year called The Scene, created and hosted by Nat Morris, which played a lot of Prince Vanity 6 at the time. The dancers were very hip. Yeah, it was very cool. There's some video online that I saw. It was so great to see that because I wasn't aware of The Scene until last year. So that's a really cool show. And we got Not a Big Fan either. And we got another, I like the Slow Love live version better. And then Rockabosh, Slow Love is too schmaltzy. Yes. So one of the reasons, okay, let me say a little bit more about why I don't like Slow Love. For me, Slow Love is a traditional slow song that anybody could have written. It just didn't feel like a Prince song to me. In the same way, I don't see Arms of Orion as a Prince song. I know he
Mhm.
wrote it, yes,
Mhm.
but it seemed like something he would give to somebody else to sing and not like put it on his own album. So I feel the same way about Slow Love, actually. So let me go back, and I think I've gotten my slides where I need them to be. And let me go. Okay, here we go. So, whoops, here we not go. Okay, I got to add it to the stage. Okay, so here's a ticket from the Friday, June 6th show at the Masonic Temple. I love seeing the tickets. This is from Ticket World. And you can see this is a comp. But this is what I truly love seeing are photos of the fans in real time. So I have a clipping of this. So I don't know if I'm assuming this is like before the show is opening. I could be wrong, but I just really love seeing the youth. And I love all these suits. Do you see these suits? And
Yeah.
also there's like a lot of red going on. I've got some plaid action.
Yeah, they're about to sweat all that out.
Yeah, they are. And
Mhm.
I see like a members only jacket. This is a really interesting photo. And then here are some shots from that show that night. And again, these are clippings, so I've lost the attribution of like what newspapers these came from. So if
Mhm.
anybody knows, please let me know so I can make sure that the correct attribution gets there. But this is a really great shot that was included in a newspaper from William Archie. He's the photographer. So he's in full parade mode with his outfit. And I love the shot with the tambourine in Detroit. And you can also see he's still wearing the cross around his neck.
Mhm.
And this photo is by Mark Hoffman, and the caption is Rockstar Prince wows his fans during his concert at Masonic Temple. The packed house responded enthusiastically to the show, billed as the entertainer's birthday party. So this should be attributed to the next day. Sprout sorry about that. And then because he's wearing the same thing on both
Right.
nights,
You
it
don't
gets
really know. Uh-huh.
yeah, you don't really know with some of the photos, so it gets really hard. But I really love this photo. You can tell he has on the yellow suit here,
Mhm.
which is very iconic for the show. I love the shot by William Archie where you can't really tell, but he's kicking his leg up in the air. And the caption is, with a leap from the piano and a high kick, Prince draws a roar from the crowd. And you can also see Eric Leeds in the back to the right. I don't know why, I love seeing Prince and Eric Leeds in the same shot. You didn't see this last week, but there was a leak of the cover of the book of Eric Leeds in the front and Prince jumping up in the air is going to be the cover. And it's so incredible. I don't know. It's just something about seeing Prince and Eric Leeds in the same shot. It's just like really phenomenal. And then this was I'll read this really quick article by Gary Graff, who's like a music writer back then that actually reviewed a lot of Prince shows. So the name of this is Prince of the City. Prince is one guy who knows how to hit a town. He played the First Avenue Club in his hometown of Minneapolis in March without any formal notice in early April. A show at the Metro in Boston was announced that day. Fans in San Francisco had a day and a half's notice for his surprise concert at the Warfield. The same happened 8 days ago for a show at Los Angeles' Wilton Theater. Detroiters should consider themselves lucky. They had 2 days to prepare for Friday night's show at Masonic Auditorium and 4 days for his birthday concert tonight at Cobo Arena. Perhaps it was special consideration for the city Prince considers to be his second home, according to his managers. It was certainly a chance to see a looser, more relaxed Prince than the pop phenomenon who opened his Purple Rain tour with 7 shows at Joe Louis Arena in November 1984. Since then, he's had 2 more albums, Around the Rolling Day and Parade, another #1 hit single, and Kiss, and has expanded his band, The Revolution, from 5 to 11 members. Surprise gigs aside, his real tour is scheduled to begin about the third week of July, timed to coincide with the July 2nd release of his second film, Under the Cherry Moon. Now, this article is short, but it is packed with really important information. So I really love this particular article. And I'll read this really quickly. Another one about the Masonic Temple show. Fans go wild for Prince. Sellout crowd marks eve of rock star's birthday by Gene Adamski. Prince, period. He's been called reclusive, erotic, pornographic, and a musical genius. He was at the Masonic Temple Auditorium Friday night for the opener of a surprise 2-night Detroit concert stand in celebration of his 28th birthday, which is today. A bare-chested Prince bounded onto the stage, dressed in skin-tight black satin trousers to the screams and cheers of a sellout audience of 4,500 fans. Prince's show with his band, Revolution, was to feature songs from all of his top albums, but was primarily geared to his second film, Under the Cherry Moon. Prince's first film, Purple Rain, was named after the hit album of the same name. The new film was shot in black and white, and the concert's theme was black and white. The Grammy Award-winning musician and king of new wave rock and roll has titillated teenage audiences and traumatized their parents since he became a force in pop in the early 1980s. His lewd stage gyrations and sexually explicit lyrics have reached the homes of many people. After listening to the lyrics of Prince's Darling Nikki, a group of Washington wives, including Susan Baker, wife of Treasury Secretary James Baker, and Tipper Gore, wife of Senator Al Gore, Democrat Tennessee, last fall started a movement to have guidelines set up to protect listeners from pornographic rock. Prince announced tonight's concert at Cobo Hall late Tuesday, and all 12,191 tickets were sold out within a half hour. So he scheduled a second concert for Friday at the Masonic Temple. The fans' reaction to news reports of the two concerts shows how far the rock musician and filmmaker has come. I love that they say the rock musician and filmmaker has come since 1981, when he was the opening act for the Rolling Stones in Los Angeles. Then he was booed viciously by 100,000 fans. Actually, during the panel with Lisa Coleman, one of the questions was, could she talk about the Rolling Stones show? And she said it's something that she still hasn't gotten over. So it was a very traumatic experience for both her, and she was like, as Prince as well. So I thought that was interesting that came up. So do you want to say anything about, any of the images or any of the articles? If not, I can move into Saturday.
Very, very quick couple things to highlight. I'm with you. I love the images with Prince and Eric Leeds, foreground, background, however that goes. It reminds me of again, forgive the self-promotion, but talking about 1999 at the symposium, Prince had wanted to be a frontman, and Prince had told Des Dickerson, his lead guitarist at the time, that, hey, I want you to handle the guitar parts. I'm going to be more out front. And here with the Parade Tour is the manifestation of that completeness. He rarely picked up a guitar during the Parade Tour. He's got this band with very little pyrotechnics and lighting changes and stage changes and all of that. It was all the theatrics were demoted, and all the energy of the band was promoted. And Eric Leeds became his number two, where in the rock world, you always have the lead singer and the lead guitarist. There's always two. Eric assumed the role of the second because the guitar, the lead guitar was demoted in Parade, in the tour, and the rhythm was promoted. So I think that was a very, very significant thing. Also, this is Europe's first time really seeing Prince, if they hadn't caught, the mini tour during 1981, the Dirty Mind tour. So this is the first post Purple Rain hype view of Prince that Europe saw. This review, that's very significant. Also coming with this tour. I wish I was able to see it, but I wasn't. I came up short.
Yeah. I love this comment from Rakabash. Thank you so much. So the Masonic Temple is 1 block from Cass Technical High School, and a lot of teenagers skip school to buy tickets for the Masonic Temple show. That's really great to hear. And let's see. And Rakabash also says Princess Fashion in 1986 was Prince at his most chic and stylish. He successfully shed the Purple Rain persona in the press, which I think was important. So yes, Prince played 2 nights in Detroit back to back in 1986. And let's see. Yes, the Detroit show is a favorite for a lot of people for the reasons that Arthur talked about. And for me, it's like he was just so happy. Like he was like just grinning ear to ear, and you could tell that he was happy to probably be shed of the Purple Rain golden handcuffs. That's what I think what was going on. Okay, I see you, Kim. So we're going to continue. We're going to try to make this happen by 2:30. And all right. So if anyone knows the photographers for the following, if it's not credited, please let me know with wdpdtw@gmail.com. So we're talking about Prince's birthday in 1986, which is on a Saturday because days fall differently in each year, everybody. So that's the reason why we say we go from Sunday to Saturday with our reading. And tomorrow in 2026, it will be June 7th. But in 1986, June 7th fell on a Saturday. Okay, I love this photo, Arthur. Look at this guy. Cobo
I've been there all night, buddy. I've been there. Cold, hungry. Been there, baby.
Yes, but I think it's really important for our younger fans to understand that we had to camp out all night in the cold and the rain and the snow, depending on what city you lived in order to get these tickets. So you really bonded in those lines with the fellow Prince fam that were surrounding you because you were going through an experience just getting these tickets. So I want to just really quickly say Cobo show sells out fast. Fans of pop star Prince line up early Wednesday at the Joe Louis Arena box office to buy tickets for Saturday night surprise birthday concert at Cobo Arena. Almost 12,000 tickets for the show sold out in 45 minutes. And a second show was scheduled for Friday night at the much smaller Masonic Auditorium. The roughly 4,000 tickets for that show go on sale this morning. At left, Shane Rydell, 19 of Taylor, takes a nap in the line at 1 a.m. Wednesday. And I just love that. Okay, so here's some tickets. Again, we're still talking about Ticket World because we're still in Detroit, but you can see there are some different colored tickets. And let's look at the price, Arthur. $17.50. Which was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
But in context of today's dollars, in terms of like what we have to pay, it seems like it's like very, very cheap. But back then it wasn't. But I really love that it has Prince's birthday on here. So as you pointed out at the beginning, Arthur, Prince did celebrate his birthday at one point, the Detroit show being Exhibition A.
Yeah, right.
Yes, because I always, someone's going to put in the chat, Prince didn't celebrate his birthday. Okay, yes, but he did at some point, and I still do. Okay, let's keep it moving. So these were the T-shirts from the June 7th show. So you had like artwork from mountains. I was never a big fan of the T-shirt design because it's very dated now. It's very 80s. That particular, like the triangle and all of that. But I love that they have some cake on the back. They have the date and the arena and all of that. So this is what T-shirt looked like on June 7th. This is the iconic yellow suit that we all should know. And it was very, very different for Prince, coming from the Purple Rain gear, which we also saw, in the Around the Rolling Day video. It just had clouds on it. So like this was, I'm going to be honest, I don't know about you, this yellow suit was shocking to me.
Yeah, I remember there was a People magazine cover from that year.
I hated that cover. I know that cover. It is seared on my retina.
I like the red better.
I like the red better.
But he was color blocking during that tour.
Of course. Yeah. No, we love color blocking. It's just that in real time, I was so used to Prince being different. For him to be in a suit, which to me at that time was very conservative. I was really confused as a teen. I was like, I don't know what's going on. I also was confused because you've already also brought this up already about the denim with Sign of the Times. I was like, what is going on? So there was a lot of like, I don't know, Prince, help me. And I love that others also found that shocking as well. And okay, Dorothy loves a happy birthday shirt. I love that. And yes, thank you for doing that translation. It's about roughly $53 today, which is still pretty reasonable. And yes, that's one of the things I didn't like about the suit were the shoulder pads. I was anti-shoulder pads.
But that was the 80s, though.
I know. It was all about the shoulder pads. And this is pretty funny. Is Prince having hard times?
But I'm saying he had the boots with denim, the denim boots.
Yeah.
So it was like, oh, okay, we fine. We're on program.
Yeah. Yes. Very confusing for little me. Okay.
I dug it.
Did you?
I did.
Why did you dig it? I'm curious.
I don't know, man. It was just like a new year, new you kind of look. He had the part down the middle, and the hair was like back shoulder length, and the big, because that was the year 87, the 86, 87. The Guess jeans had that iconic, really popular jean jacket, and it's kind of like, not so much that it was a variation of that design, but I mean, it was really, it spoke to that. Spoke to a very current thing. It was almost like Prince's attempt to dress normally, and I think that was I kind of appreciated that in a way. It was I don't know. I kind of like found the connection to it because like I didn't want to wear suits as a 16-year-old. I wasn't really into that. I wasn't going to wear velour, paisley, and ruffles. I could never pull that off. But jeans in a motif of a drum beat and a synth is, it had a very I dare say hip hop. That's not really what I mean, but it had a very in the moment vibe to it.
Okay. Well, for me, Prince was always about being different. And for me, a suit wasn't different and denim wasn't different. So I was like, I don't understand what's going on. All right. So we got to give a shout out to the Love Sexy silk press. I love how it blew in the wind. I just love it. It was flawless. Okay. We're going to move on because we don't have time for Love Sexy today. We're in Detroit on June 7, 1986. I love this photo. Also, what's interesting about this photo, I don't know if it translates on your screens, is that Prince is sweating out the wazoo. And you rarely saw Prince sweat through his clothes. And if he did, he would start, I guess, taking them off. That's one of the reasons why we saw him bare-chested a lot. But this is a very interesting, but you can clearly see, Kim, those shoulder pads. They were whopping. But I love this photo. It's a really great photo. When I first saw it, when I was putting this in the slide, I don't know why, I got controversy vibes from it. Even though, I got it because of the white shirt, because, he was wearing white shirts back then. Also, like how the hair kind of falls in his face and like, and the mischievous look and all that. And just this very reminiscent of controversy for me. And then this is an iconic shot. So you see the black and white floor, you see the revolution, you see Jerome, you see the balloons. Anyone should know this is from the Detroit birthday show, or obviously the previous one because of unfortunately the same cost, same dress and all of that. And really fantastic shot here. And again, Eric is in the background. I always love seeing that dualness of them. This is a fantastic photo. This is a photo of Greg Brooks' daughter, and it's really, I want to point this out.
Oh.
Yes, because Greg Brooks has been here during celebration. He's been out at almost all the celebration events. So it's just wonderful to see a photo of his daughter way back from 1986. And I love seeing, are those polka dots? I think they were polka dots. So a little bit of, you get your polka dots before Love Sexy and Parade. And we have a few photos of Prince with kids, and you can always see that he loved kids. You can just tell from this one photo that he loves kids, but there are a lot of photos that we have of Prince interacting with kids. And I love that she has the drumstick like a little Sheila E. So I really love this image here. And I want to read another Gary Graff review. Prince reigned over a joyful birthday party. He sang a line from How Much Is That Doggy in the Window and hummed a bit of London Bridge is Falling Down. He perched on an organ and made monster faces at the crowd. He tossed enough tambourines and drumsticks into the audience to keep a percussion company in business for the next few years. He danced a lot. He emphasized that, not me. Took his shirt off and said a few dirty words. That's how a 27-year-old pop star from Minneapolis celebrated turning 28 this weekend. But when you're Prince, you can do anything you want. At least that's the position he has taken with his stylistic changes during the year. And the caption for the photo at the bottom, which we now know that particular photo because I have it in another one, is also William Archie. And Prince gave the crowd a show with 20 songs and lots of dancing. And let's see. So these are actually some audience shots. And I love seeing photos taken by people in the audience to give context. One of the reasons why I'm showing this one is so that you can kind of see the lighting arrangement of, the Cobo Arena. And obviously, I'm sure Leroy Bennett is still doing the lighting. And you can see in this shot, the yellow suit really translates very well. It pops. But also you can see, the different fans and the audience. And then I don't know why, I just love this. I was surprised at how many suits, because, that previous photo that we saw of the fans in line, and now this guy walking through the crowd in a suit. I just found it fascinating because we haven't really seen this at previous crowd shots with the audience. So like they're translating Prince's suit to their own wardrobe, which I think is like really interesting.
Yeah, well, what's also interesting is that, okay, from the date, Parade has not been released for what, like a week, right? The album itself is like a week out, and like there's nothing in the album where Prince is wearing a suit. So there's something else that's going on. Don't know what, but it's not because they were influenced by what Prince is wearing in that way.
I wonder, when did the People magazine come out?
That was summer. That was a little later. I think it was post movie.
Yeah. Okay. Something else is, we need to find out. That's where we need Cassie, who's also at Celebration. If I see Cassie Ritchie today, I'm going to ask her about this suit question and what's going on there. So I also love that there's a yellow dress in the bottom left-hand corner. I don't know if that was just serendipity, but I love seeing that. And then I always love seeing hand shots of the crowd. That's one of my favorite audience shots, are always like hand shots in the crowd, and you can see the lighters are going up for some reason and all that. Okay, so we got 6 minutes.
We can do
20, yeah, we can do it. Week 23 of 1986, we have had 69 studio sessions so far. No new songs this week and 6 live concerts total. So again, 2 back-to-back in Detroit, June 6th and June 7th. In a Purple World, we're in the midst of celebration. Tomorrow is Prince's birthday, which I will celebrate. And yes, again, because people come in at different points, we know that Prince didn't celebrate his birthday, but he did in 1986. And we're in 1986 mode, and we are celebrating Prince's birthday. And for those of you who are in New Orleans, there's also the Purple Takeover in New Orleans by DJ Soul Sister. So if you're in New Orleans or New Orleans adjacent, and you can get there, you might want to go and see if you can find Ted, because Ted is, I saw earlier in the chat, someone posted that they saw Ted at the Purple Takeover. So we also want to let everybody know about this amazing event that's coming up. It's going to be not just Eric Leeds, but also Atlanta Bliss for the annual Paisley Midwest Party honoring the legacy of Prince. So this is so amazing. So if you want to see both of them in person, this is the place to go. And actually, again, we have in Minneapolis, if you're here for celebration, there is a PRN alumni event going on right now from 2 to 5. I don't know if Jackie is going to be there, but I would assume that Jackie will be, but I don't know that for sure. Because actually there has been like a handover of the PRN Alumni Foundation from Jackie to someone else. And I'm blanking right now because I'm really hungry, because I haven't really eaten except for some popcorn. And like my energy is going down. So we also have a GoFundMe for Rich Benson's wife, who unfortunately passed away tragically. So if you want to help pay for funeral costs and all that, it's very expensive nowadays too, with funerals. And then you want to help Addie Durant get back on her feet, who was very pivotal in the Clubhouse version of the fan version of Purple Rain, which was phenomenal. Please help. And then obviously we know that Troy has recovered again from cancer. Yay, I'm so excited. But also there's still bills. So we want to make sure that we can help Troy out for sure. And then also Dr. Funkenberry's cancer battle continues. So please send a kind word to Dr. Funkenberry and everyone we've mentioned before, and help them financially if you can. Even $1 will go a long way. $5. It doesn't have to be big amounts. That's why we crowdfund, because it's about how they cumulatively add up. And then also Des Dickerson has a GoFundMe as well. So this is a playlist. There's tons of songs in here. So we got to give a shout out again to D68A for all of these amazing posts. So you can see, and I'll add the full version to this as well for the birthday show. And then I also included Stone, which we didn't talk about. And so if we got 2 minutes, so we don't have time to talk about it. Stone is the new release from Timeless. It's like the first single. And then all the Sheila E songs are in here in the playlist and all of that. And then we have a playlist for Pretty Ricky, because we miss him so. So if you miss his voice like I do, you can listen to it anytime you like. And because we are in Minneapolis, because we're in Paisley Park, we just want to, give reverence to Ricky. And if you can, please donate to the Crons and Kaleidos Foundation in memory of Ricky using the bit.ly link, The Flesh, because The Flesh sessions were one of his favorites. And we have made it to the end, and we almost have 2 minutes to spare. So I'm sure that Kim is really great. And yes, we do. It's time to go eat and do something. And thank you so much. And yes, we love hearing about it. So what are you going to do to celebrate Prince's birthday, Arthur?
That's, I don't know. I've been kind of thinking about that. It's usually music based. I'm not much of a playlist person. Not that I don't like them. I'm not very good at putting them together. That's really what it kind of comes down to. Something that I thought about doing was assembling my own version of the full Camille album to kind of
Nice.
play that through. I think it's cool with what we talked about, Dream Factory, Crystal Ball, Camille. Having all of those in that, yet you can make it's such a modular project, right? You can kind of
Mhm.
move these things around and get all these different experiences. So I thought I might do that.
Yeah. So there are a couple comments I want to highlight with quickness. We still have less than a minute. The time, though. So, possibly the influence of the time and the suits is
That's
what's
a good point.
happening. That's a very good point. And another extremely good point is
That's a great point.
yes, from
The
Heavenly
influence of
Things.
Miami Vice during that time. Absolutely.
Yes, it was
Absolutely.
huge. All right. So, with that being said, Arthur, can you take us out for our episode?
Yes. This has been Duff and Arthur in the Morning, otherwise known as What Did Prince Do This Week. We want to thank you very much for joining us and riding along for the last, 2.5 hours. I want to thank D'Angela for inviting me for the ride along today in the absence of C. Lee McGinnis. We look forward to his return. We look forward to the return of D'Angela, a well-fed, well-rested version of D'Angela Duff,
Thank you.
and the return of Michael Dean for Prince. What Did Prince Do This Week, episode 176 for next week. My name is Arthur, and thank you very much for tolerating me.
Thank you, Arthur. I couldn't have done it without you. And I need you to hit that end stream button.